Hi, garden friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Era, and this is Gardening on Purpose. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're a subscriber, welcome back. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. I garden in Georgia, Zone 8A. For today's video, I'm actually going to be going through a couple of questions that I seem to get a lot of in my comments under all my videos. I'm also going to be commenting on a few comments that I've gotten underneath my videos. This is all just over a period of time. I seem to see the same type of questions, and I'm also going to be commenting on a few things that I seem to get comments on all the time. So this is not going to be like a series or anything. It's just going to be something that if I see a pattern, then I'll definitely make a video about it. And it's not going to be long either. It's just going to be maybe 4 or 5 or 6 questions or comments. And this is all good too. This is not negativity. You know, I do get a couple of negative comments, but this is all on the positive realm. Okay. So I have my little book here. This is my little garden journal here. It says bloom where you are planted. Love it. And this is where I have my drawings of my garden plans. This is where I put my notes. And this is where I have all the questions that I'm going to be answering. And again, it's not a lot. It's just a couple. So one of the first questions that I'm going to point out is this question comes up a lot. And it's literally asking me about the rocks that I have in my yard. You guys notice my rocks, my garden beds, they have the rocks around them. And the simple answer to that is I dig these up in my yard, right? When I first bought the house and I was deciding I was going to make these garden beds, I actually went to a landscaping place not too far from me and I bought those flat rocks. It was over $300 I bought them for in a whole pallet, right? But they were too flat and they weren't pronounced enough. And you'll still see them around the garden. But once I started digging around in the garden, I realized that there was a lot of rocks in my soil. When I dig holes to plant stuff, then a big rock will pop up. And then over the years, I've just accumulated all these rocks, enough rocks where I could line out my bed, right? So that's the short answer. It's pretty much, they're free. The ones that are, you know, more of a circular or oval, those are free. Those are more free form rocks. But the lower ones, the ones that are actually flat, I bought those. But you're going to be seeing less and less of the ones that I bought and more of the ones that I actually got for free. You'll see them in the front bed in that bed on the slope. You'll see them in the back here because I'm in my covered patio right now. And you'll just see them everywhere now because I'm finding more rocks. So that's pretty much the simple answer to that is that it's free. I dig them up. And I'm not digging up looking for them. It's just that when I'm digging up, you know, holes to plant stuff, a rock, the shovel will hit a rock and then I'll dig it up and I'll say, oh, that's something I could use for a garden bed, right? So that's free. So that was an easy one, right? Simple. The next question I usually see is, where do you get the pine bark? And if you don't know about the pine bark is something I use because I have clay. I actually use pine bark in all the holes that I dig. You hear me say it all the time. Every hole I dig, I put pine bark. Even when I'm jump starting my perennials, I'm up potting something in containers, everything has pine bark because pine bark does great for drainage. And especially in clay where we have, well, I have different types of clay here in Georgia, but in the back of my yard, you're going to see more hard brick-like red clay, whereas further down, you'll see softer clay, right? But either way, pine bark goes in there. Where I get the pine bark is at Lowe's. I get the bag for, I believe, $4.58. I never see it at Home Depot, never see it at Walmart. Now, Walmart does have pine bark, but they have the big chunky ones and those float. So I don't use those, right? Those float. They don't do well for me. And especially when we get these bad storms, the pine bark will just float away, and then I get up the next day and then the pine bark, you know, the actual floaties, they call them floaties, they're actually all over the yard. But the pine bark stays where it's supposed to stay. You can actually use it as a top dress too, but you can also use it as a mulch too, but that would be too much money for you to buy one mulch for $4.58. But I get it at Lowe's, never see it at Home Depot, never see it anywhere else. And also one of the reasons, probably us in the South, like people in Texas, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee. We have more pine trees down here, so you're going to see pine bark. It is the bark of the pine tree, and they chip it up, they chip it up, they chip it up, and they sell it to you. And it does great for aeration. It does great for help the clay not recompact, and it is actually good because it helps with overall in the garden. So I get it from Lowe's, and I'm never without it. I always, because I use it so much. You probably saw it in one of the jump starting videos I did the other day too, when I added the pine bark with the actual potted mix that I bought. Does wonders. I love it. I use it 50-50 in the holes that I dig when I'm planting my plants. So that's the second question. And one thing I also want to comment on, so those are two questions that I get all the time. Another one is, where are you? And I know I say in my videos and I post on this stuff, I'm actually in North Georgia. I'm not in the city of Atlanta. I'm north of Atlanta, which is why I always say I'm in North Georgia, right? So a lot of folks will say, oh, I'm your neighbor. That's great because, if you're in Tennessee, you could be my neighbor, depending on where I'm at, where you're at. Or if you're in the city of Atlanta, you could be my neighbor. But I'm in North Georgia. I'm in Zone 8A. Been here for 5 years at this particular garden, in this particular yard. I was living in the city of Atlanta, but I wasn't gardening. I was in an apartment, no space to garden or anything. But I love it out here. Way more space, way less people, and just more to do with the gardening, right? So that's where I'm at. Okay, so those are three questions I get all the time. Where are you? Where do you get your rocks? Where do you get your pine bark? So on to the comments now. I'm noticing a lot of comments where people are talking about the prices. And I too make comments about it in my video about, oh my goodness, prices have gone up. Bulbs have gone up. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of money. And I do agree, but there's really nothing we can do about it, guys. A couple of years ago, we were complaining about those same prices and they were less. Now they're only going to go more. Prices are never going to go down, guys. They're either going to taper off or they're going to go up, right? And I make this comment because I see it a lot. And one of the reasons that jump started me to make this video is the price of bulbs. Yes, they're going up. I go to Lowe's, Walmart, Aldi's, Home Depot, what's the other one called? Sam's Club. They're all going up, guys. They're all going up and there's nothing we can do about it. The plant industry is really becoming a billion-dollar industry. There's so much money to be made. These people know that, and this is why the prices are going up. And, there's other factors. We know what those other factors are that are causing these plants that come from Holland or come from wherever. They're going to be more because they're coming from outside the country, right? And on top of that, these companies need to make a profit. So if you used to buy one of the big examples I want to use is a German bearded iris rhizome. I remember when those were $3.95. They're $6.98 now. And I remember complaining when it was $3, right? So you see what I'm going at? I know, and I hear you in those comments, and I've said that many times. I hear in the comments, when I make my videos, it's not to tell you anything, but that's just what it is. That's just the inventory they have, and that's the price. So I do understand, and that's why I say sometimes, if you see something you like now, just get it. Yes, we complain, we still buy it, right? We still buy it, but I would still buy it because you can bet your dollars on this that next year it's going to go up again, right? So that's one thing I wanted to make a comment about, the price of bulbs, the price of plants. I remember when a perennial was like $5.95. Now a cheap perennial is $9.98. For the Lowe's brand or the Home Depot brand or the Walmart brand. But if you want to buy the brand names, you know who the brand names are, those are going to be $13 and $14 and $15 for a perennial, right? So, and again, it's not going to go down, guys. So you just got to decide what's important to you and decide how you want to work your garden. Okay, so that's one comment. Another comment I notice is the algorithm that have brought people to my channel. And that makes me so happy, guys, because I've heard comments in my comments. They'll say stuff like, wow, thank you so much. I love your channel. I wouldn't have found it, I would not have found it generally. And I'm so happy to hear that because I'm a small channel, guys. I only have a little over 6,000 subscribers. I've been on YouTube since May of 2022, and a lot of people have never heard of me and never seen me. You know, they know the big names. We all know who the big names are. They've heard of the big names, they've heard of the big channels, and they just gravitate towards them. So I'm so happy to hear that people are finding my channel, right? So thank you guys so much for all the comments and all the positivity about the algorithm bringing my channel to them that they wouldn't have found normally, and it actually liking the channel enough to subscribe and to comment. So I really, really appreciate that. And I think it also helps when I put out more content, because when YouTube realizes, oh, she's putting out content every day, let's kind of push her channel out there so people can see it. So I love it. And I love to see people from Georgia, Tennessee, California, the Pacific Northwest. I'm really, really excited. Thank you guys so much. Another comment that I get a lot is about just prices overall, guys. Like, I don't know how else to comment on that except for the fact that we have to make a decision as to what we're going to do about buying plants. Are we going to stop buying plants? Which we're not going to do, right? We're not going to stop buying plants. But we have to decide what's important. Are we going to minimize our garden? Are we going to decide to just like leave the garden the way it is and just kind of stick with the garden as it now? But not even just plants, guys. The fertilizer is going up. Things to help with the bugs are going up, right? So it's not even just the plants, you know? So I remember when a rose food or rose tone used to be $10. Now that thing is $14, right? So you have to decide what you want to do and how you go about it. Okay. So, another thing I also wanted to say is, and this is just on a final note, is a big, big thank you. And like I mentioned earlier, I've only been on this channel since May of 2022. And I tell you, it was rough getting to 500 subscribers. It was rough. And if you go back into my channel, you will see how I did a thank you video when I got 100 subscribers, right? And then I did a thank you video when I got 1,000. And I believe I did a thank you video when I got to 3,000. But it was a rough go, guys. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? Why aren't people seeing my channel? Why aren't people commenting? Why aren't people liking? And I've made a conscious effort to do better videos, because the better videos, people are going to like better videos coming out, better content, better editing, better, actually things that they care about. So that was great. But I just want to do a special thank you to all my subscribers, guys. You guys have given me the push to keep on going. The comments were great. Of course, I still get negative comments. And I think what comes with that is when you get to 6,000 or 10,000, 5,000, whatever the number is, the more people are seeing your content, the more people are going to have an opinion about what you're putting out, and the more people are going to be getting negative comments. But I just let that slide because I don't have time for the negativity. Of course, I would love to be informed, love to be taught something, because I sure don't know everything, right? And I would love to be informed. I would love to have critical analysis or something where you're giving me critical feedback. But there has been a bit of an uptick in the negativity. But like I said, I just roll it off because I don't have time for it, right? I want to thank you guys so much for all the comments, all the likes, all the subscriptions, all the follows, all the suggestions to other people. And I also want to thank you for just like sticking with me, I have noticed, and I don't want to put people out there, but I've noticed a bunch of folks who I can definitely rely on. No matter what I put out, they always have positive feedback. And you know who you are. And I want to say thank you. Every single video I put out, I get a comment or a like from certain people, and I love it. Thank you. So that is what I wanted to put out today, guys, to kind of point out anything that I've noticed trending in how you comment. And if I have anything else, I will definitely keep going. Like I said, this won't be something I do every week. I won't make a series out of it. But if I do see enough where I feel like I want to tell people more, I definitely put out another video. Let me know what you think. Please like, please share, and please subscribe. Thank you so much. Have a great day.